Hello and welcome everyone to the podcast that is Unmasking Sexual Violence and its Impact on Mental Health Well-being in Medical Training. First of all, I want to read some disclaimer that is, this episode discusses sensitive topics including sexual violence, harassment, and mental health challenges faced during medical training. So, listener discretion is strongly advised. The intent of our discussion is to promote awareness, research-based understanding, and professional dialogue, and not to sensationalize or generalize individual experience. The views and opinion expressed by the host and guest are their own and do not represent the official policy or position of any affiliated institution, universities, or organization. The podcast is created solely for educational and awareness purposes, and it should not be construed as medical, psychological, or legal advice. All the participants have consented voluntarily to appear and share their perspective, and the creators and hosts disclaim any liability for action taken based on information or opinions shared during the episode. And if you know someone that has been affected by sexual violence, we encourage you to seek support from qualified mental health professionals, institutional grievance cells, or national helplines. Thank you, everyone. Welcome once again. So, when people imagine medical training, they see stethoscope, white coats, young doctors driven by compassion and science. But behind this image lies another story, one of silence, stigma, and sometimes trauma. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that is rarely discussed openly, that is sexual violence faced by medical students and young doctors. So, joining me today are the principal investigator, Srijani Paul, and co-investigator, Nilabho Chakraborty from College of Medicine and JNM Hospital, Kalyani, West Bengal. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir, for having us.
Thank
Okay,
you for having us, Dr. Sushant.
thank you so much. So, first question to Srijani, you. What is the title of the research and why are we conducting this research project and who is conducting this research?
So the title of our research is Beyond White Coat, Unmasking Sexual Violence Among Undergraduate and Postgraduate Medical Trainees in India. So the purpose of the project is quite big. Actually the idea came to us back in 2024, following several incidents of sexual violence, including the Arjika case. Then we started looking for a comprehensive national data on prevalence of sexual violence among medical students, and surprisingly so, there was none. And there was a huge data gap. And without numbers, how to even start to make a case for change, right? So that's how our project began, actually. We have mainly three goals. Primarily, it is to estimate the prevalence, that is how common sexual violence is among undergraduate and postgraduate medical students in India, and how it affects the mental health of the survivors. Secondly, we also aim to identify the determinants of such incidents and the barriers to reporting. Third, there is one subjective section. I guess Nilabho will talk about it in detail. That will help us to assess that how the recent Arjikar incident and the protests that followed have affected the students' mental perception of safety and their interpersonal relationship. Sir, and in broader sense, we hope this study will raise awareness and start more open conversation about safety in medical institution and will help us to make policies and support system. And so for the team, like we currently have a team of 8 members, me, Nilabho, and our guides, obviously. So I'm the principal investigator and Nilabho is the co-investigator. And Nilabho has been with me from the very beginning. Our main guide is Dr. Ashish Pundhir sir. He is Assistant Professor, Department of Community Medicine and Family Medicine from AIIMS Kalyani. We also have Dr. Shobhuni Gadhu sir, Head of the Department of Forensic Medicine, College of Medicine and JNM Hospital. We have Dr. Venkatesh Karthikeyan sir, Department of Community Medicine and Family Medicine, AIIMS partner. We have you, our host today, Dr. Tushar sir from Jaipur. We have Dr. Shubhajit Roy sir from KGMU Lucknow, and we have Snehashish from IISc Bangalore.
Okay, thank you so much, Srijani, for the wonderful answer. Now, Nilabho, tell me that if conducting this kind of research is safe, and how have you ensured the participant safety? If I am MBBS student and I have to take part in your research project, my data is safe. Do I have to worry about something? And what was the motivation behind choosing this topic?
Sure, sir. Before answering this, first I will take few minutes to just tell you about the technicalities of our this Google form. So the form is hosted on Google Forms, and it's entirely designed by our research team. And we have taken uh, two international tools basically to assess the deep-rooted your sexual harassment that has been happening in medical institutions. One of them is the SES LFV, that is the Sexual Experiences Survey. It has been internationally used in mainly University of Arizona and various other studies in Europe too. Secondly, we have a tool called the PCL5 that is being routinely used in psychiatric procedures to determine the PSD outcomes. Yeah, and so we took both of these tools. We modified it according to the rules, pretending to the rules. We modified it and made a more Indian medical colleges specific version of it. Uh, and we don't need approval for that. It is within the reach. So we have that. In terms of safety, no personal information is being collected. We don't take names, we don't take emails, phone numbers, or IP addresses. Every response is anonymous and stored in a secured, restrict access Google Drive, which is just shared among the research team. Uh, so yeah, only the research team has the aggregated data. No individual responses are seen, and everything will be used purely for academic and research basis, and not being shared to any third party as such.
Okay, thank you, Nilabho. Now, next question. What is the sexual violence in layman term? So, can you explain our audience that what is sexual violence and tell us about the problems to the general public and how big is the issue? Srijani?
Yes, sir. So, sir, there is a World Health Organization's definition of sexual violence that describes the whole image quite in detail. But for the time being, I'm not going into that. So, if I have to make people understand about what sexual violence means, in simple terms, sexual violence means any sexual act or behavior that happens without someone consent. For example, it could be unwanted touching or groping. It could be inappropriate comments or jokes. It could be harassment, including the online ones, or even sharing private photos without permission. So it also includes situation where someone is forced into sexual favor, especially if someone is in power and that person is taking advantage of someone who is not in the power. In that situation also, sir, even when someone cannot give consent, like if they're sleeping or they're drunk, they're unconscious, or they're mentally incapable of giving the decision, then also the act counts as sexual violence. And of course, the more serious ones like sexual assault or rape, gang rape. So basically, any act that is done, or if there is any attempt to do such act without consent, that is considered as sexual violence. And about how big is the issue, I would like to quote some data that is published in recent papers, sir. So according to a 2022 study by Dr. Gomez and team, nearly 20% of undergraduate students experience sexual violence on campus, with 1 in 4 young women and 1 in 16 young men affected. And there are other studies, like one study of University of Michigan that is published in Journal of Women's Health in 2029 showed that 82.5% of women at least face one incident of sexual harassment from insiders. So 82.5% is a huge number. So you can get an idea about the whole situation, right? And another WHO's 2002 report on violence and health revealed that female medical students were 220%, so 220% more likely than students from non-STEM field to have faced sexual harassment from insider. And there is another study, there is various study, there is another Malaysian study that is very important, and I would like to quote that reveals that many students unknowingly experience sexual harassment. Like they don't know what act actually counts as sexual violence. So it is evidence that there is discrepancy between the reported experience and those that is identified by the checklist. So you can get an idea that medical students, like in spite of studying in medicine, they don't know what is counted as sexual violence. So the general population is in massive risk. So
Okay, thank you, Srijani, for that answer. But we know that medical journey is very tough and it is very rigorous. The training is very rigorous. So, how does such incidents affect this journey? Like becoming a doctor, you are becoming a doctor after this rigorous training, and how does it affect their family and surrounding?
sure, sir. So being a medical student is already challenging. Like there are long hours of study, there are night shift, there are constant exposure to human sufferings, and the constant exposure to human suffering and the concept of death already leaves a negative impact on both the physical and the mental health of the students, I say. So many students already face burnout, anxiety, sleep deprivation that is there. Also, with such a demanding schedule, there is very less time for self-care or personal life, like for hobbies and all. So that makes students even more vulnerable to the emotional exhaustion, right? On top of that, if such incidents happens, it worsens the things. It leads to a feeling of isolation or helplessness and loss of trust in the institution. So there is 2024 European study that showed that 65.5% student face sexual harassment. And among that student, the main outcome of that was anger. 73% felt angry, felt that anger. 68% felt shameful. And apart from anger and shame, there were other effects like anxiety and stress. These are all the primary effects. A 2021 German study that is published in BMC Medical Education explained that the secondary effects are huge and are probably more serious. And they extend beyond the immediate educational context and can affect the future professional practice also, sir. I would like to quote, there is a USA study that showed 46.4% reported loss of desire for work. So 46.4%, they after clearing NEET and all that things, they after one incident, they don't want to work in that field, they want to leave that field at all. So you can understand the the effect on the mental health. And about the family, I think families effects on families is very serious, because after all, it's their child who has faced some incidents, right? So they are equally sad and they are equally helpless because they don't know how to support their child. And there are add-on effects like social stigma and social, that idea to victim blame, or that family fame, that kind of things comes into play. And I think this becomes a social problem, because this stigma and misunderstanding over time, they may discourage families from allowing their children, particularly daughters, to pursue higher education. So, sir, you can understand they trusted a medical institution, and there was shattering of trust in the institution's ability to protect their child, and these can lead to long term effect, like gender equality or social mobility. Like if a person from a semi-urban or rural area is not allowing their female child to pursue higher education, this will lead to a systemic failure. So this can limit opportunities, and this need to be addressed with seriousness, sir.
Thank you so much, Srijani. It is indeed a big issue. Now, do you feel that sexual violence is under discussed, or what are the reasons do you think the medical student stays silent on this while facing the sexual harassment, sexual violence, and what fears them or risk them from reporting such
Dr.
incidents?
Tushar, hi. This is Dr. Faisal.
Hello.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just traveling somewhere and I will have to leave the meeting. So I will just give my comment and just want to congratulate everybody in your team that you people are doing great work. Dr. Tushar, Dr. Srijani, Dr. Nilabho, and rest people in the group. You people are doing great. I have seen the Google form. And since we have conducted a survey from FIMA, I know how much it is difficult to medical students to fill the form. Means to complete around 2100 responses, it was very difficult for us in that RMS survey. So you guys already have completed 700 number, and this is to answer sensitive topic. So I would like to congratulate everybody. And on behalf of FIMA, I have discussed in core group. But FIMA is a big association and having so many representatives. So I will have to little discuss it with the office bearers more. And because in association to take something on the letterhead, they need approval from every office bearer. So I am discussing it on my personal capacity. I will be sharing it to maximum medicos across the country to whom I came into contact during my RMS survey on my personal basis. I am also associated with many other associations, NGOs, medical associations, those who work in the medical students. I will try to spread this Google form, and I will help on my personal capacity. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much,
Thank you.
sir. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
sir,
much.
for your support here.
Thank you for joining, sir.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Srijani, next question is why it is under discussed in medical colleges? Hello.
Hello.
Srijani, next question was
Yes,
why
sir.
it is
Yes,
under discussed.
yes, sir. So I think Nilabho would like to answer that. Nilabho was talking about that, and he was researching about this part. So Nilabho.
Yeah, so I think there are three major factors that we have to see. First, there's a silent culture of silence. There is a culture of normalization. It generally stems from, because in medicine there's hierarchy for everything. Like students are dependent on seniors, students are dependent on professors, they are dependent on different administrators. So that thing is there. then there is also a sense of distrust in the system. In majority of the colleges, the IECC committee, that the internal complaints committee, is not being formed, even after governments have maybe pressurized them. But for some reason or other, the ICC has not been yet formed, or even if it has formed, it does not have significant representation of the women counterpart, which leads to people thinking that कि अगर मैं जाके कंप्लेन करता हूँ या करती हूँ तो मुझे कोई सीरियसली लेगा नहीं. And thirdly, which is like a very generalized, that's victim blaming, that is very generalized in our society. I think these are the three big factors which come into play generally when we talk about such issues.
Yes, so I would like to add on that a recent study by Nandini and team, they found that none of the survivors actually reported their incidents of harassment to the higher authority, because they believe this will lead to the self-blame or the shame. So you can know the reasons, right?
Okay, we move on to the next question. So, what are the mental health effects on medical students facing sexual violence?
Yes, like I have that thing I have talked before. Like there is depression, there is a sleep disorders like insomnia. It's very common. There is somatic behavior disorders. There is anxiety. There is stress. There is PTSD. Then love has talked before, like post-traumatic stress disorder, and there is also suicidal thoughts. Unfortunately, and that's also.
Okay, okay. So we move on to the next question. What are the existing mechanisms to prevent such incident? And are there any punishment under the law? And if college has to take some immediate steps tomorrow, what should it be?
Yes, sir. So, sir, there are actually several mechanisms in place to prevent this sexual violence in colleges. Firstly, I would like to mention the POSH Act, that is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Readdressal Act, 2013. That act actually requires every college to have an internal complaints committee. So, that have two women and student members along with an external expert to handle the complaints, right? And along with that, our 2023 BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, that provides an updated detailed punishment for crimes like rape, gang rape, sexual harassments, or even stalking and assault. And secondarily, the institutional mechanisms are more important here because the incidents are happening inside the college or with someone that is associated with the institution. So I'd like to emphasize on that. So every medical college must have a functional ICC that accept complaints in writing, in online, or in anonymous basis. Like some colleges will say you have to like place it in a written manner, in a file, in a document. That is not always possible. So they have to accept an online complaint also, right? And they must complete the inquiries within 90 days and they must recommend the action. There are also other things, that there are also helplines. There are also National Commission for Women helplines. There are helplines for women in emergency, women in distress, 108, other the helplines. There are Shakhi helplines and that. And then again, back to the colleges, I would say colleges have to make many measures. They have to run monthly awareness programs. They have to improve the physical safety. Like they have to install CCTV in the hostel or in the roads, right? And they have to like talk about it openly to promote the discussion. And third, the enforcement and the grievance readdressal. So the victims can approach the internal committee and file an FIR, and there have to be some kind of tie-up with the local police station or local NGOs. I think that will be much beneficial. And there are other online platforms also, like SheBox is there for digital reporting. And finally, the steps that you have, the question you asked, that the most important step the college can take. So it is to strengthen the ICC, I would say, to activate, to publicize and to empower the ICC, to make the members' contacts visible, like who are the members, what are their contact number, how the person in distress can contact them also, and to run the awareness session as I have mentioned before. And so to talk about it, I would say, to talk about it mainly and to promote that culture.
Okay, thank you, Srijani, for that answer. Now, finally, what message would you give to survivors, victims, and MBBS students, young doctors? So they are entering now. NEET UG counseling has happened. So the whole medical fraternity is listening to you. So what is your final message to them?
So, firstly, for the survivors, I would say that every survivor listening, I would say, we're not alone and your voice matters. So, please fill up the form Your courage is what drives our study. You are our inspiration. And by you speaking up, you can help and protect the future generations to come. And you are strong, you are brave, you are talking about it. So your voice will help us build a more safer and more supportive environment. And we will make sure that your voice reaches the appropriate authority. So please share your story and talk about it. Don't stay silent because you did nothing wrong, right? And for every other students, I would say the medical profession is itself very demanding and very toxic, they say. So you have to be courageous, you have to stand up for what is right, and you have to speak up. And there are many support system available, so seek support. Asking for support doesn't mean that you are weak. I would like to mention Telemanas. Telemanas is a very, very beautiful online mental counseling platform by Government of India. So if you are feeling isolated, if you are feeling that you are in distress, you should seek guidance. And we are there. You can contact us. I guess I will give our contact number and contact details in the description below. So yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you so much. So, from today's discussion, I think one thing is very clear that sexual violence in medical training is not a rare phenomenon, and the psychological and emotional impact is profound, affecting not only mental health but also the future of our healthcare system is also affected. And the silence around the issue protects the perpetrators and punishes the survivors. So breaking the silence is the first step towards the change. We all agree to that. And we need safer reporting system, strong mental health support, and a cultural shift that puts respect and empathy at the heart of the medical education. So if this episode resonated with you, please share it with your peers, colleagues, and educators and students, and scan the QR code below that I will give in the description and the Google form. And don't forget to subscribe. And I'm sorry about my voice. Today my voice is not good. Thank you so much for joining, Srijani Nilabho. You are
Thank you
doing
so much,
Thank
sir,
you,
for
Dr.
this
Kalra, for
session.
having us.
Thank you so much for the session. This was much needed, sir.
uh,
Thank you, sir.
it is there. Okay. Thank you so much and do good work. Thank you so much.